Done so.
Mm-hmm. Did you never watch NASCAR?
No.
Oh.
Gross.
Okay.
Who do you think I am?
I'm just wondering. Sorry to ask you such an affronting question.
Can't believe I'm wearing the shirt you gave me for that, to be so deeply insulted.
I'm so sorry.
No, never, ever. Ugh. Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching The Gilded Age, Season 2, Episode 2, Some Sort of Trick.
So, I know where we can start.
Okay.
George Russell's stuff is yada yada, boo unions,
Yeah.
yada yada, grease his palms, yada yada, the end.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
I mean, that's it.
Also, yada yada, I'm gonna go to Newport.
Yeah.
And as a surprise.
And make out with my wife.
Like, a lot in the conservatory.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Especially, like, so on the heels of that conversation she had with Larry, I can't believe that she was like, yeah, baby, give it to me.
I know! I was like, I felt, just because we started watching Dawson's Creek yesterday, and so it was a lot of mom making out stuff the last 2 days, and I feel weird.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, y'all be fucking good for you, but like, I feel weird.
I feel a little weird about it.
Yeah.
A little weird. Okay, that was a good place to start. I guess the one footman at the Van Ryn house is like tinkering around with his alarm clock that didn't go off. I have a feeling we're going to be looking into like engineering classes
probably.
Or something. He also is still getting coffee with the new Russell lady's maid.
Adelheid.
Mm-hmm. She forgot a dress in Newport, so she had to come back and get it and then go back up. She doesn't seem to be in big trouble about it. Like,
no,
Bertha seemed fine.
Yeah, well, she was Gladys's maid first,
yeah.
And now she is stepping in to do both since she put out Turner.
Yeah. Also, let's be real, though. I think it might have been better if we had not recovered that dress from Manhattan.
Yeah.
That was not a good enough excuse to make Adelheid go back to your big house.
No. I'm sure
not great.
I'm sure there's something else you could have worn.
Because it's like many individual parts of that dress were cool. Like the bodice was fine, and the sleeves were fine, and the skirt was fine, but not all together.
This show makes me feel like my eyeballs are on acid.
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't like turn of the century fashion.
It really depends, I think.
thought that it was like, I mean, all the satin and the bustles, I'm here for it. The pattern work, and this is nothing against the historical department on the show because I'm sure they are doing work and they're
yeah, but remember season 1, I don't think they are.
Well, some of the people in the comments were like, they were looking at fashion plates from that time and all this stuff. And so like, there's no way that historical research is not happening. The zippers in the back are driving me nuts, but whatever. But like,
well, I think the way that they're constructed is it's supposed to be like the placket that overlays the buttons.
Yeah,
but they're not doing an amazing job.
Sure.
Yeah, like I'll give you it's the buttons, but like
these pattern choices and adornments.
Yeah.
It's just. Now I know. I think I might know why Coco Chanel was like
take off one thing.
Yeah, but that would be whole pieces of outfits.
Okay, yes, because I have multiple things to say about the fashion. One of which is like I want to know because Agnes seems like such a put together woman. She's she's put together. She's very no nonsense. She's very these are the things that are right and wrong. This is how I'm going to live my life. And yet somehow she managed to get dressed for company and then just like throw some sea kelp across her chest.
There's a level of whimsy to her dressing that does not align with her character.
Because that's the thing is like I almost kind of feel like her or sometimes only because I really like the way that Ada dresses. Mm-hmm. But like everything that Ada wore in this episode was very militaristic. Yes. She had that big epaulette thing on the one dress. And then she was in a very, like, regimented, almost looked like a red coat style, like, jacket.
It's very camo in the early 2000s.
Sure. Mm-hmm. But better.
Yeah.
Then Agnes was wearing that sea kelp thing, and then the blue dress with the ruffle wasn't very good either.
No.
I don't know.
And then, oh my God, what is her name?
Marion?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The fucking chartreuse, and I'm here for chartreuse, but the stripy thingies, I exclaimed.
Because it was just like, it was like the ribbons were trying to make a maypole on her.
I guess, but it was like, if I had to describe it in like an auditory way, it was just very on my eyeballs. But I can't do it.
Everything else she wore in this episode was fantastic.
Except that really bright red hat.
Yeah.
It felt like when you have your period and you're wearing white pants.
Yeah. Which is bold. It's a bold move.
It is.
But there was like almost everybody's white tennis dresses.
That's great.
Were super, super cute. I especially liked Gladys's with the little rosebuds all over it. Very cute. And I was gonna say too, I think my favorite dress in this episode was the like green and magenta one. Like tealish, greenish, and magenta. Because it was sort of like the Carrie Astor one from last week, but less like starburst in your eyes.
Yeah.
That one was very beautiful.
Yeah,
then her yellow at the end too for the McAllister party, the like yellow and cream.
Yeah,
it was the best of that bunch.
It was the best of that bunch. It just, the way it was put together,
everything is just like 1 degree into madness.
Yeah, and it looked either too tight or unfinished.
Sure.
Like it was something about it just was off.
Not quite right.
So I was
also I think she needs to, like, I like her in the pale colors, but I think the creams wash her out.
Yeah.
Where it's like it needs to maybe be like a more pinkish or more bluish, but it's like the yellow and like ivory is because the stark white didn't wash her out.
No,
but it's like it's the creamy colors that are not, I don't think, totally suit Marion.
Yeah, and I'm kind of comparing it in my head because I don't really care for 1860s fashions either, and I also don't like Regency very much. I love
Regency.
I don't mind the Empire waist or Empire, depending on how you like to say it, but the hair is bad. I don't like the hair.
Unless it's so over the top like the August Wilde Emma. August Wilde, right?
The one with Anya
Taylor-Joy, yeah.
No, I hated her hair.
No, of course, but it's like so over the top that it like almost just feels like more costuming to me.
Yeah, but I still hate it. Like, I still think it's ugly. But so the 1860s fashions are kind of like that, where I felt like the pattern work was all very like, ugh.
I've actually forgotten what time period this is.
I think it's turn of the century.
Right, turn of the century? Okay.
Yeah. Because didn't we watch Edison turn light bulbs on?
1880s.
Oh, just kidding.
Okay.
So not super far off.
Yeah.
From like the crazy.
So I was going to say, I think you do like turn of the century, because that's when it's very shirtwaist, full skirt.
Yes. Turn of the century I do like. But so, right. Okay. So leading up to it.
This is like Victorian. Except for America.
I don't like it. I'm thinking about it in comparison to like the 50s style dressing and like the end of the 40s, how the Christian Dior shape was kind of like a middle finger to like the wartime fashions because everything was so drab and brown and, you know, like sad.
Straight up and down.
It became like kind of a revolution in that we were taking everything back and leaning back into whimsy and femininity.
Yeah.
Where I'm kind of thinking about it, so it's 1880s, so it's like 20 some odd years after the Civil War, and so if we're trying to like do that in a sense, sure, but it makes my eyeballs hurt, and it makes me crazy.
Some of it does. Peggy's fashion remains beyond reproach.
Absolutely.
Stunning.
Killing it.
The whole episode. Beautiful.
Aren't we surprised though?
No, I'm not surprised at all. She just has such like an iron grip, and like Danae Benton. She seems to have such an iron grip on Peggy in a way that like not all of the actors have an iron grip on their character, but she really does.
She feels very lived in, where everyone else feels like they are performing to the cheap seats.
Yeah. Which I don't want to move on to Peggy just yet. I want to move on to Mr. Collier / Watson. So it was sort of like a nothing burger of a plot too. Like it didn't actually.
It felt very like
nothing actually.
Oh, okay.
Happened. So Mr. McNeil came sniffing around the Russell servants' entrance, and Mr. Church was like, pardon, what are you doing here?" And he was like, "I need to speak to Mr. Collier," and he was like, "We don't," because I guess he's going by Watson, which I like didn't remember that he had changed his name or whatever. And he was like, well, I just need to leave him a message. And then he wouldn't leave the actual message with anybody because he's like, it's not my story to tell. And I'm like, then what are you actually trying to do? So regardless, Mr. Russell arrives while he's still there and he like invites him in. And again, he still won't like spill the beans, but he's like, I need to talk to your man, but he's like out for the day. And so then you think it's going to be this, so much happened in this episode that was like faster than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then just had like almost no consequence by the time we got to the end of it, because Church ends up sitting down with Mr. Collier and is like, what is actually going on? And he's like, well, I'm his father-in-law.
When'd you know it?
Surprise! And Church he said, I'm sorry, because he was like, I made you wait on your child. I feel just terrible about it. And then no further consequence.
Yeah.
So far, something might still happen.
What is his name?
McNeil.
Yeah, like, asked to have a time to talk with Watson / Collier, and Church was like, you better keep that appointment.
Yeah, but it also just, like, at no point, in no way based on the previous experience that we have had with either Russell and their servants, do I think that Mr. Collier will be fired.
No, he just, if they come over, which is, like, the first time we have ever seen this
couple. Then just don't promote him to underbutler for the night.
Right.
Like,
he's sick, or he's out, or something. Like,
I don't know.
This is a very easy fix, and then no one talks about it.
Yeah,
because the daughter can't say anything, because then she'll fall out of favor,
Sure.
and I think Church even says she can't entertain.
Yeah.
And if it comes out that her father is a servant, okay, so everyone shut up.
I think
I don't know.
I think the biggest deal would probably be if something illegal caused his like fall from society.
I guess.
But even still, he seemingly has been an exemplary employee.
Right.
So I don't know, it's very bizarre. We can go to Peggy from that. She has decided to come back to the Van Ryn house. She's like, Agnes has no problem with it. She's like, all I want is to just keep busy right now. And so like, if you will have me back, that's great. My only concern is Armstrong. I don't know what Armstrong's end game is.
It makes me so angry. Because it's like Thomas on Downton Abbey.
Yes, it's just like Thomas, except she doesn't have like a, what was her name? The lady's maid? The shitty one?
Yep. I'm looking at her face right now.
Yeah.
And everyone's screaming it at me. And oh God.
She like did leave after a while, right?
Yeah, she did.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but that's the thing is like, so, I looked at too many Downton names and I can't remember anybody's name. Armstrong is just like Thomas, except for
worse.
But she doesn't have an O'Brien. Like nobody else on the Van Ryn staff is on her side.
Well,
so she just seems so hateful.
And
where it's like, because there's no scheming. She doesn't have anybody to like do dastardly scheming with. So she's just being a bitch for no reason.
It's like she's not being quiet about it. She's literally walking up to Peggy being like,
I mean, she's obviously racist, right?
I mean, I would assume so, but then wouldn't she be shitty to the German chef?
She's white.
But she's German. Didn't they have issues then? Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, 1880? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Not in that way. But also, she's white and she's below her. Technically, Peggy outranks Armstrong because she is Agnes's secretary. That's like real work, you know?
I guess.
I'm not saying it's right.
No,
I is, I think, what's happening in her head.
You mean to tell me when you were crying to your boss, who is literally being like, I will fucking fire you without a hint of hesitation.
Well,
After all of the years that you've been with me, I will throw you out.
She literally said, your fate is in your own hands. Yeah. You just have to be civil.
Yes, she doesn't even say, like, you guys have to be best friends.
No, civil.
But, like, just don't stop saying disgusting things. And the first thing she does is be a bitch.
Yeah. I don't want your help with my sewing. And then she helps anyway. And I'm just like, if you can't get all the sewing done yourself and someone is offering you help, and it's immediately she's taking offense to everything where she's like, I could use the distraction of more work is the implication. Like, I just want my mind to be busy so I'm not thinking about my dead baby that you outed me for. And she's like, so my work is just a distraction? And it's like, for me, I'm offering your help for free. Yeah, it's a distraction. Whatever. She's awful.
I hate her so much.
So she seemed like mostly... No, she was still a bitch at the end, because Peggy was like, I have no problem with you, but you don't want a problem with me. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Let's move on to Larry, who is...
Larry be fucking...
getting it in.
Like, with... She was like... immediately just boner.
I at one point when we were watching, I was like, I'm surprised she didn't just mount him in the driveway. Like, it was, what's her name, Mrs. Baines? I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
Baines. So it's Laura Benanti, who is fantastic. And she's a little bit daffy, but she has been sort of like locked away with no socialization with a man who's at least 20 years older than her. For 20 years. Like,
and he was deaf at the end?
And he was deaf at the end. So she immediately gives Larry the job of renovating her house. And then she immediately gives Larry the job of renovating her house. And he apparently does it.
He's going to be renovating and rearranging those insides.
Night long. Because he comes home the next morning. The sun is well up in the sky. He did not even, like, sneak out in the wee hours. The sun is up. Bertha is fully dressed. She is downstairs haunting the hallways of this immaculately appointed humongous house in Newport. And she's like, where have you been? You smell like a prostitute. She
literally walked up and kissed her son, and you could hear her go,
yeah.
Ew!
Well, I know. I'm allowing it.
Ew!
I'm allowing it because she knows that he spent all night out with a woman. I'm allowing it. It's, like, not great, but I'm allowing it. And he, like, just also, because this is the other plot line that I was like, surely this is going to be a secret affair for many episodes. And just immediately, he's like, I Mrs. Baines last night. And Bertha was like, this is ill-advised, Larry. There's so many young women. What is your problem? And he's like, I like that she's not a young woman. And it's very season 2 of Gossip Girl Nate. When Nate has sex with Mitch and Amick a lot. It's very that exact plotline.
Oh my god.
So, I don't know. I find her kind of delightful. I love that it's Laura Benanti because she is a little older. Like, she...
like probably 40s.
Bertha says twice your age. Yeah. So, like... And Laura Benanti is 44. So, we'll see. But I'm just mostly... I'm kind of here for, like, I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, well, it was so funny because she obviously is, like, jealous of Marion. And so, because the second time they met...
Oh, it's you again.
She goes, oh, it's you. Like, okay. And then Marion was even like, all right.
Yeah, because, like, Marion and Larry are friends, but they didn't actually...
No, there was, like, the will they, won't they, but... I think that, I think because she was going to marry Mr. Rakes, and so she was like, Larry, like, I'm going to go with that guy, but I still really want to be your friend. And so that I think Larry was like, okay, I got the hint.
I also think Agnes does not approve of a Russell match for her. Regardless, I like them quite a lot as friends. I would like them to continue to be friends. And I don't know, the whole thing was just very funny. You know what? I kind of let Larry get it in for a little while, and then he can't marry this widow. There's no...
I mean...
Yeah. In 1880, she can't still have kids.
That's true. I don't know. But he very much was like, would you rather I fuck a prostitute?
And she was like, Larry!
I don't know, but I feel like she kind of went, I mean, maybe. But...
I don't know. I think
she'd prefer that because she even said it. Because him fucking around with Mrs. Baines, whatever her name, Barnes, whatever, is like, would create more of a scandal.
Okay, it could, well, we've got other scandals to worry about, which we'll get to in a minute. But, like, the thing for me is I think that I would rather if my son were having an affair with a well-to-do older woman who'd been married to a probably impotent man for 20 years as opposed to, you know, the 1880s prostitute.
Yeah.
That you want to get syphilis? That's how you get syphilis.
Yep. No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I just, it's just so funny.
Yeah.
It's just double standards are. wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's insane. On the other end of the Russell child spectrum is Gladys, who is refusing to go to Newport until this thing with Mr. Van Ryan is settled, which I'm like, I get it because she's only just out in society and this is her first proposal. Like, I understand all that stuff that she like doesn't want to be the one to handle it herself. But I think she maybe should have talked about it a little bit further with George, because she was like, will you just take care of it? I'm not sure, like I don't really want to say yes. And he was like, no problem, sweetie.
Say less, babe.
And then Oscar came to his office and he was like, you'll never marry my daughter. I don't care what you say about it. She doesn't want you, ! And it was so harsh.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, and also you smell bad and your hair is ugly. Like, it was intense.
It was very intense. And he seemed genuinely upset about it in like a romantic way when he went home. It seems like we're not going to push it too far because he has also made the acquaintance of what was her name?
Maud Beaton.
Beaton, yeah.
Yeah.
Who Aurora has said you cannot pursue it unless you are very serious. Like, you're not allowed. So we'll see. She seems just as naive as Gladys, which...
Oh, I think she's more worldly.
You think so? Because I was like, what needs to happen is Oscar needs to marry Mrs. Baines, the widow. Because first of all, again, she probably can't have kids anymore. In her 40s in 1880, that's tough.
I mean, it would kill her,
So he still can't. So he still wouldn't be able to carry on the family line, even if he could, like, as we were positing last week, get it up for her. But what would be good is that she clearly has a lot more money than he does, and she wants to stay in Newport. So it's like, if she weren't already on riding the Larry Russell train, I think that would be a good society match.
The railroad train. That's great.
That was an accident. I'm proud of my subconscious. But I think that would be a good match because she could stay in Newport. He could take her money back to Manhattan and still be living his best gay life. I don't know, maybe Oscar Van Ryn founds P-Town, or founds P-Town. That would have been better if I hadn't tripped over it. I'm sorry.
Well, but so Maud, I think, is an orphan. We've pretty much,
believe
right?
So,
okay.
Yes, yeah.
And then she's been living in Paris for an undetermined amount of years.
Okay, Paris.
So
sure.
I mean, maybe. Maybe. So, but they kind of like made eyeballs at each other. But I think that I'm excited to like watch them.
Yeah.
Like do this tete-a-tete. I think she would probably be a good match for him as far as like keeping him on his toes. Because I feel like her like wild European life is gonna pop out.
Sure.
And plus, like, she's got no parents. She's like someone like a paid chaperone or whatever.
Maybe she'll be like Lily James in Downton.
I mean, oh, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Marion got set up on a date with a Mr. Morgan, who I assume was like a JP Morgan. Yeah. I almost said JP Morgan Chase, as if that wasn't a merger that happened in my lifetime. Yeah, so, and he was like just a total drunk that she kept on trying to avoid at the tennis
stupid hat.
A really stupid hat. Almost or more stupid than Marion's hat.
Yeah.
That red hat. Still pretty stupid. And he was just awful, but then Mr. Dashel was back. And so they had kind of a thing, and she convinced him, well, he asked for her opinion on which tennis player to bet on. And so she said Larry's friend, because that was the only name she knew, and he ended up winning. So I don't know what odds he put down, but he at least made back his $50.
Yeah. Well, I think he just said he was going to win.
Yeah.
So
he won. $50 we looked at his
$2,000.
$2,000 basically, almost. And so he owes her a treat, which we'll see. Yeah.
I mean, if we were further along in the storyline, I think the treat would be his penis.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like Marion is not going to make that mistake again.
No.
Because she didn't have sex with Mr. Rakes, but they, like, did stuff.
They made out.
Yeah.
Oh, made out.
That's too much. Also, apparently Peggy's boss at the paper is married.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
I didn't either. But so when he was like,
we lost a boy, a son.
I was expecting him to be like, and then my wife followed him, much like the dude up in Philadelphia. So I don't know, but he didn't have a wedding ring on.
Men didn't always. I don't think Mr. Russell's wearing a wedding ring.
I guess.
I find that very odd because to me they were really setting up a romance in season 1. So I'm very, I'm confused and curious about what's going on there.
I will be so angry if Peggy is the one that gets the affair storyline.
Ew.
I don't want it.
Yeah, no.
So already creators.
Yeah, we're watching you.
I don't want it. I'm going to be really angry.
Because I saw a couple of people talk about the first episode and it was like, oh, cool, you gave the most distressing stories to the black woman and the gay man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not great. That's not my favorite thing. So I guess the last major thing is Turner's back. I'm not even going to play around with it. It's fucking awful. She's married to Headmaster Charleston from Gilmore Girls. And she has managed to somehow keep it secret that she used to be a maid. I am very confused. I know that not everybody is acquainted with everybody's lady's maid, but like all it takes is her arriving at one society dinner where a Russell servant can see her and be like, hey, you used to be the maid here. Yeah,
and you also tried to sleep with your employer.
They don't all know that. Only Bertha and George know that, I think.
Well, still, what is Turner's game here? Because it's like, what kind of leverage does she think she has that they're not immediately going to be like, this fucking hussy over here?
That part. Because there was that one part from the scene from the scenes from next week where she was like, be careful before you out me because I can ruin you as well. And I'm like, what are you going to tell them that her chef is from Kansas? I don't think that's going to societally ruin her.
And does she know about the train accident from last season? That it was preventable?
I mean, maybe, but we seem to be past that and moved on to the unions. I feel like that if you came out with that now, it's kind of old news.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't think it still matters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah,
I guess I don't remember if he was engaging in any other illegalities last year, but
no, the only other thing.
Well, there was the insider trading, but still.
No, I feel like everyone would just laugh about that and be like, "Oh, that old dog." No, the only other thing I can think of would only be the train accident because he very knowingly signed off on stuff.
Yeah. Because I feel like this woman used to be my maid and then Turner's like, yeah, and I fucked your husband too. Is like not the own she thinks it is. So I'm just like, well, unless we are forgetting something, which is likely, we did not rewatch season 1. I don't know what leverage Turner thinks she has. And I'm pissed because her dress was one of the best ones in the episode.
I just hate her face. Sorry to this actress because
no,
she's
her name is Kelly Curran and she is doing an amazing job at being so horrible.
Yeah,
but she's so horrible.
I don't want it.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I feel really weird about this show because I like it, but then when we talk about it, I'm like, do I like it?
No, I do.
It's just not for me. It's just not as delicious as Downton Abbey was.
Yeah, I was having the same problem or concern, I guess, with season 1. I think it's because we're so spread out. So we have definitely 2 full households with an upstairs and a downstairs, but I guess the Van Ryns are kind of a multi-generational family.
Yeah,
but it's just 2 generations. So it's also not really the Downton family was the whole family was living in the greater metropolitan area of Downton Abbey. But it's so we have 2 full downstairs staffs and then we have 2 full upstairs families. And I think it's too many people. Plus then there's Mr. McAllister and Mrs. Astor and Aurora Fane and the McNeils and Dashiell and the Reverend. Oh, the Reverend.
Oh, yeah.
Ada is mad crushing on the Reverend, and Agnes is giving her hard shit about it. And he was, attacking the dog. I didn't,
I'm wondering if the dog was, really antsy, and so he was trying to keep it engaged and,
a little behind the scenes filming, fine.
Yeah.
So it's just, and then it's, Peggy's family, because she went and talked to her dad in this episode, and then there was like also a chemist working at the farms, and so it's like there's just too many characters on this, where it's like the only outsiders that we got right away on Downton Abbey were Matthew and his mother. So it's like that's so manageable.
Yeah.
Like a family upstairs and a downstairs staff. This just feels very spread out in a way where it's like I don't have a lot of skin in the game with any of the servants. So it's harder for me to care.
The only character that I feel particularly endeared to is Peggy.
I like Marion a lot.
Yeah, but she's toast.
She is like she's milquetoast. And I am very invested in this affair that Larry's having.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take your point. It is hard for me to like fully engage with anybody because we also like Mrs. Bauer or whoever who's like the I don't know, like the housemaid or whatever from the Russell house. I like her, but she wasn't even in this episode. So it's like, and she doesn't even ever have plot. She's just like always sitting there writing in a notebook and looking at her. Yeah. She was in last week, but she had like one line about making sure that some dinner went well.
Yeah. So
it's like, that's the thing where we don't have like a unified like household that it's too vast, I think. Which suits the America of it. Yes. But it is harder for me to fully engage with each character.
Yeah. No, and I watch like Housewives of New York and stuff, so like there is a level of I do have an interest in like the socialites and all of that stuff, but like none of it is just salacious or delicious enough. Everything just seems very like, and now I'm going to walk over here with this very deliberate accent and over enunciate all of my words.
Yeah. And again, I'm kind of invested in Gladys because I like Taissa Farmiga.
I'm having a hard time with her.
But Gladys is sort of like, I mean, she's like 16, 17 maybe, because she came out late.
I'm having an issue with Taissa Farmiga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, too, is it's like, she needs Carrie Astor. Like, why are we not paying that actress for every week? Like, she needs to be everywhere with Carrie Astor.
Yeah.
They make each other so much more interesting.
Yeah. I said it out there kind of, and I said it earlier with like them performing it to the cheap seats. I know we have so many Broadway royalty people on this show, and if this was being acted on a stage, I would not have a problem with how they were performing it. TV's too small for what they're doing. Everything is very big, very crisp, very just very and the cage is like very rigid. Like it's just like this. And
I will agree with you. I am having the biggest problem with the Broadway people.
Yeah, because like
specific ones though, because like I think Donna Murphy is doing great.
She's keeping it very contained, but she also has like worked in the smaller screen.
For me, the biggest problem is Kelly O'Hara. Aurora Fane.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with her at all.
Who's your problem?
Taissa Farmiga.
Well, she's not Broadway.
And she's playing it like Broadway.
No, she's playing it like Ryan Murphy. She's playing it like American Horror Story. I'm just saying.
American Horror Story by way of Broadway. Because even Audra McDonald is doing just like a touch too much, and like I'm very sorry. I don't mean to disparage her name.
No, I love
that. I think she's wonderful. It's just a little too. Yeah. And fucking Nathan Lane.
I don't know. To me, it's fine because I think Mr.
Sounds like Foghorn Leghorn.
No, I know, but I think that was a Mr. McAllister thing. I think that's like
yes, and
recorded in history.
Because I looked it up, and he is a very larger than life character. But like, could we have not? I don't know, found a middle ground with it? Because
no, it's Daniel Craig and Knives Out or nothing.
I don't know. It's just everything. Because even like Ben Ehlers or whatever, who plays Jack.
Oh.
His is just coming off a little too...
Very Brooklyn.
Very earnest.
It's Newsies.
Yes, it is Newsies! And I don't know... I'm unsure of the direction that they're getting.
Sure.
And I know that this is, like, as we've established, Victorian era, so everything was very, like affected in the way they were speaking and very proper. But, like... Down in the downstairs.
Is it Georgian? I don't remember.
No, because I feel like Victorian was part of the 1800s because she had the crazy fucking
Victorian.
yeah curls. But like even downstairs, you mean to tell me that they're not going to be using slang and stuff in the off hours?
Well, like I don't know what 1880s slang sounds like.
I don't either, but everything is just so clipped.
Mm.
And oh God, and they're saying valet, and I hate it.
That's
and I know
just
that
American.
It's American.
Yeah.
I know that, but like I just when he was like, he's my valet, and I'm like, valet. He is your valet.
He's not parking your car. He's dressing you for dinner.
I hate it.
It's a different thing.
But so like I said, if I was watching this on the Broadway stage, I think I would love it. It would be very different. But it's too small for how big they're putting everything. So
I'll give you that.
Yeah. And I don't want it to make it seem like I'm not enjoying my time because I am. I'm not at the same time. I don't know. I don't know. There are things about it that like I wish that were a little bit softer.
Sure.
The edges feel way like I'm gonna stub my toe and cut it off because it's so sharp.
I agree, and I will say too, I'm having a better time with the movie and TV actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're
Carrie Coon feels very lived in,
and she is very theater because her and Tracy Letts do a lot of theater.
But I think there's so much crossover with her work, and so she knows how to be statuesque without having to sing it to the cheap seats.
Yeah.
And she is still speaking very affected, and it is, very crisp and clean, but it is in a way that feels very nouveau riche.
And it's also, because it is also, it's because it's like informed by her character and it is character informing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the nouveau riche, she is doing that on purpose. Mm-hmm. And whenever she is alone with George, or mostly George, she does let it slip a little. Mm-hmm. And she gets very angry about stuff. And like, it's fun to watch, but it is. So it's like, also, I don't have a big problem with Louisa Jacobson. Again, Marion is kind of just like, white bread, but you can tell that she's Meryl Streep's daughter. Like, you can tell that she's got a little something extra going on. I'm not saying she is Meryl Streep. Yeah. I'm saying she's not even Meryl Streep's best daughter. She's like, has very reserved for Mamie Gummer. Yeah. She's the best Meryl Streep's daughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I still love where this season seems to be going with like, because it just does feel like season 2 of Gossip Girl, because it's like they go to the Hamptons in season 2 of Gossip Girl.
Oh
and it's
my
like,
God. Maybe
go to Newport for the summer in this. And I'm just like, love it. Love it. Can't wait. So yeah, we will be back next week. Favorite dress? I'm gonna go with the Marion, that like turquoise and magenta one.
I guess I'll go with that one too.
The first Mrs. Baines dress was pretty good.
That will be my favorite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then both of Peggy's major dresses, that like purplish one was like top notch. Worst dress, that Aurora Fane one at Tea, because from the top up it was like mostly fine, and then she stood up and it
was a BBL.
Not even that. What was those wrapped around parts of it? It looked like the dress and the cake from Sleeping Beauty somehow.
Yeah.
But the bad ones, the ones before they bring their wands out. It was horrible.
It was really bad.
Absolutely horrible. All right. That's it for today. The opera thing is still going on. We're going, well, because they're trying to get Turner. That was the whole thing, is that this guy's new wife, they were trying to get her to get a box in both to kind of pull Mrs. Astor in, and then it turns out it was Turner, and Bertha was like, we won't say anything until we're at home alone, and then I decide what we say, and I did kind of love that as the ending of this episode. So, okay, that's it officially. Like and subscribe, let us know what you think, and we will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.